what about me? Like, what is my play in this? And that's the sign of a true leader who's able to take a look and humbly say, I did some things I shouldn't have done here, not only personally for myself, for my family, for my employees, just all of this. And then being willing to say, I'm going to make a change.
Hey guys, Todd here from ConstructionLeadingEdge.com. Hope you're doing well. I've got a great interview for you today. This is a conversation with Michael Algren. He's the owner of Algren Design Building, a luxury home builder and remodeling company in Park City, Utah, building some big, massive luxury homes. And the conversation was with Leyah Hostetter, our Director of Customer Success here at Construction Leading Edge. And here's what you're going to take away from this conversation, some of the things that Michael shares, what the stress of the business looked like a few months ago and the ripple effects of that stress. Michael talks about something that his grandfather did for him when he was young and how that impacted him. The influence of working with wealthy clients. You may think differently about wealthy clients after this. Michael talks about what's different about his conversations with his team and how he communicates differently with them. Speaking of different, he talks specifically about a different approach that he took to solving a tardiness issue with his team. He shares what was cutting off his creative ability. He shares about the ripple effects of stepping back and letting his team create their own process and solve problems on their own. How he reframes problems to his team now. Actually, he doesn't really use that word problem anymore. And there's a better question that he asks his team. You can steal this from him. And Michael also talks about how life and how business are different since going through our Systematize Your Construction Business program a few months ago. Now, without further ado, let's get to that conversation with Michael Algren and Leyah Hostetter from our team. Enjoy.
Michael, hello and welcome. Thank you for taking a few moments to share with us your SYCB experience. Before we dive right in, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
I am working in Park City. I moved to Park City from Vermont. We run and operate a construction management company, and we mainly work on custom homes, new and remodels, ranging from 8,000 square feet to 20,000 square feet currently.
Some of those big, beautiful homes up in Park City,
yes.
Huh? Very good. And tell me a little bit about the size of your company.
We currently have approximately 10 full-time employees. It's myself. I have a couple office staff. I have an integrator, 2 project managers, site supervisors, and 4 carpenters.
Very good. Awesome. You've got a pretty solid team.
Yes.
That's good to hear. And tell me...
I just hired on a excavation manager, so I got somebody that's going to manage dirt work.
Awesome. You're probably a result of SYCB, I'm guessing. Let's learn a little bit more about that, actually, Michael. Take me back. So you just wrapped up the program. Take me back a couple of months ago, maybe even before that, when things were feeling frustrating and chaotic in your business. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the main problems you were having before you found and joined SYCB?
Yes. Well, first off, I took on a couple projects for clients, rather large projects where there was no pre-construction plan in place. It was, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out as we go. Mm-hmm. And the figuring out as we go turned into a constant reactive mode. All we're doing is trying to figure out who's doing what the design is, what does the client want, when are we going to get it done? And it's been nothing but chaos and putting out fires in reactive mode. And with that, there was frustrations with the employees, frustrations with trade partners, a lot of rework, thousands and thousands of dollars of rework, constantly changing things, no plan, just basically no solid plans in place, and no managing not only the client, but really managing when we get a job, how that job's going to work successfully through. So It was a lot of chaos.
Sounds like a lot of chaos.
There was a lot of things getting done, but I think there was a lot more work to get it done. And there was a lot of rework.
What was that like for you personally?
Hell?
Can you explain hell? Like, physically, emotionally, how did that affect you?
Let me put it to you this way, that this last winter, I wanted to sell the business, get out of it, and leave Utah and go back to Vermont. I was done. I had it up to here. I had clients that I have grown really close with outside of just work, who were very frustrated with what was happening on the job sites. I had trade partners frustrated, and I just didn't see an end. I had no personal life whatsoever because all I was doing was working 7 days a week, trying to hold all this together. And just to get to the end of some of these projects, and the level of stress was really high. It was starting to affect my health, my mental health. Physically, it was affecting me physically. I wasn't eating well. I had lots of sleepless nights laying in bed thinking about the work. What am I going to do? How am I going to get to here? What is the plan? And it was very stressful.
Sounds really stressful.
It was also stressful on my personal relationship with my wife, the people around me. And every day was coming home, and it was just a unloading. And God bless her, she listened to it every night and put up with it. And that venting has now turned into conversation instead of me venting.
Wow.
It's been incredible, but it's also been an incredible growing experience for me, right?
Yeah.
What is my part then? Like what was I doing that was also facilitating all of this stuff? And I want to get further into this with you, because that was the story that I was about to tell you. So I'll let you.
Let's hear it.
Oh, you want to hear the story?
Yeah, let's hear the story.
Well, let's go from right to left. Right? If we look at the program right to left, the last part of the program is the vision, right? The why do I do this, right? And what is my vision statement? And the name of my business is Algren Design Building. I used that name specifically because of my grandfather. I had grown up in a very traumatic childhood with my father, and he took me out of that home and delayed his retirement to help bring me up and raise me. And the care that man gave to me and showed me has given you the person that stands here and talks to you now. So that has become our mission statement. We build with care. So I want to bring, the crew in with me, my team, and give them the same care that was given to me, so that we can give the same care to everybody else in the team, to the trade partners, to the clients, right? And ultimately spread kindness at a low level, right? And we have the advantage of working with some very wealthy people. And the influence of the wealthy people on the masses is incredible. And I think that's something that is misconstrued in our society, because they think that the wealthy needs to be taxed heavily and all these things, but that they have a stronger influence because they're employing more people. If we can give them a home that is built with care and love, and then they are comfortable, how is that going to trickle down to the hundreds of people that they influence? Yes. So we're really in a very powerful spot. And I had to get back to that point of being able to show that care and bring that to my men and my team. Instead of barking orders, you need to do this, you need to do that, my conversations are now, hey, how's it going? How are we doing today? How are you feeling? what can I do to help you work through that? What do we need to create, right? Mm-hmm. And now I look at the nail the handoff. I look at the documents we're creating. I look at our team meeting agendas from a very different perspective. And just this morning, I went to all the job sites. I had conversations with all the employees. My project managers are now setting up team meetings, and they're asking those questions. What can we do? How can we help improve your spot? Right? We've had employees with this major tardiness issue, right? And the guys, we sat in a meeting yesterday, and the guys were like, well, we need to build, how are we going to enforce tardiness? How are we going to enforce this? What are the disciplinary actions that are going to need to happen? What are we going to do? If we do that, we're probably going to lose all the employees in 2 weeks. Right? That was the conversation that I walked into the room. Mm. And I said, guys, what do they want? Right? What are they looking for? What has got them to the position that they just don't care anymore? Right? And they just show up because it's a means to an end. Mm-hmm. Why are they coming to work? Right? Why do they want to come work for us? Why do they want to be there? Right? So we took a whole different approach at it in the meeting yesterday. And all of a sudden, the disciplinary actions and the expectations were thrown out the side, and they had a meeting this morning and asked that question. So when I got to the job site this morning, the guys came up to me and said, wow, there's a new energy on the job site today. We really feel like we're making progress and how we can get to this point. Right. Mm-hmm. And they were excited to be participants in that. So, how has my experience been? I mean, this has been incredible, right? I'm leaving the 26th of this month for 16 days in the Amazon jungle because I wanted to go have a reset, right? And I'm going to spend some time with indigenous tribes. I feel like that's very important. And I'm starting to feel more comfortable being away for that amount of time with this new energy in the company. And I feel like I'm here for 16 more days that we can really get this nailed off so I can go and have that experience and be present with that experience. And I feel like, I don't know, it's all about communication. And this entire SYCB is about communication. How do we communicate effectively and understand the processes and things that are going on? Mm-hmm. But I think it all has to start with, care for the employees, care for ourselves, care for our trade partners, care for our clients, and then create these systems from that modality. And I think it's going to be, a wonderful experience.
That's fantastic. What a great story, Michael. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
A few things that I pulled out of that I think were so really impactful to me. The first is that when you were explaining some of the chaos and the frustration and everything that you were dealing with before this program. And we're going to get in a little bit more into some of the things in this program that were really beneficial for you beyond the vision, because that it had a serious impact on you, which is great. When you really step back and look at all of this, you said, what about me? What is my play in this? And that's the sign of a true leader who's able to take a look and humbly say, I did some things I shouldn't have done here, not only personally for myself, for my family, for my employees, just all of this. And then being willing to say, I'm going to make a change. And I love that you recognized what your vision is and what your why is and how you're bringing that into your company culture. And it's filtering out beyond just the guys that work for you, but for your trade partners, all of your customers, everybody. That's huge. And that's a part that I think sometimes is missing in construction is that care. And to remember that these are humans. We're all human. We all have something. We all just need somebody to be there and to care, to care about us. So I love all of that. And thank you for sharing that very heartfelt story with us. That's cool. That's really cool. And the other thought that I had is when you're in that state of extreme stress and chaos and sleepless nights and all of the things that you're explaining, and I'm sure so many people can relate to, it's really hard to be focused on that care because there's so much chaos going on. And
you can't create.
No, you can't.
You cut off your ability to be a creator and create the life that you want when you're in that level of stress.
Yes. Yeah. It's a very different energy from where you're at now. And part of that, I believe, really comes in like taking a step back and saying, okay, we've got to do some things differently here. And that's a big part of what SYCB is about. I love that you said it's communication, because it is. Until we can really communicate and communicate well with our team, with our customers, with our trade partners, nothing really is ever going to change. And then having that communication be infused with the care that you're describing is pretty powerful. But I want to go back into like the nuts and bolts of this program and some of the systems and the processes and the things that we have introduced to you beyond the vision, which thank you again for sharing that. It is really impactful. And it's the why. Why are we even here? Why are we doing this? Beyond all of that, what were some of the pieces of SYCB that you, when you learned them and you started to implement them, you thought, wow, this is really going to work. This is going to make an impact on my business.
It's the systems, right? When I was in the field and, I was working with a small crew, I had been able to figure out how to get from point A to point B the fastest, right? And I created systems. So when I saw this program and I saw the systems that were being implemented from, the pre-construction process and what's in that pre-construction process, how do we define what the pre-construction process is? And going through the nail to handoff and inviting the team to help build those processes has been phenomenal, right? If I go onto the job site and I just say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, it creates, they don't feel like they own it. They don't feel like they're a participant in it.
Right.
And when I was out in the field as a small company, and I would do that with guys, that's kind of where it works, right? You can shout out orders like your part is this, your part is that. But if I want to, build the team and have that successfully flow, I feel like having the nail to handoff program and teaching the guys or having the guys participate in creating these systems has been incredible. And it got everybody really engaged, right? Yeah. Like they're building something for themselves. And I had to learn how to step back. And now what's happened is when I go into these meetings with the crew, I'm sort of in the back corner, leaning up against the wall, or kind of a fly on the wall, right? Yeah. And every now and then they'll say, hey, what do you think? Right? But for the most part, they're talking through these things and working on that stuff themselves.
Was that a hard transition for you to go from being the lead guy, kind of telling everyone?
Oh, it is, because I know how to do it best, right?
We all do, right?
Right. I mean, that. I'm not kidding you. That's what goes through my mind and it's challenging to step back and let them hash it out, even though the shortest distance, right? But I have to let them work on it and make it their own. But it's also given me a different vocabulary to be able to make suggestions and let them feel like it is also their idea.
Yes. Right? Yeah. How did you unhinge yourself from that to be able to step back in the back of the room and let your team move forward?
How? That's a difficult question. Like mentally, how?
Mentally, I think also, I'm guessing part of what maybe helped with that was the accountability chart to really like figure out who is responsible for what, and I can step away from this. So I think there's like the actual physical part of it of saying that's no longer me. I can step away from that, and then there's the mental part of it.
Yeah, there's a huge part by defining the roles and responsibilities. Who's going to be doing what. But it was also, I had to sit back and like, who can, after I built out, the accountability chart, who's going to do what. And to me, that's kind of a moving thing that is going to, as time, and I haven't readjusted my accountability chart yet. I haven't had the time to get to that piece, but I can see how we're going to make some shifts here and there.
Yeah.
What those roles are. But it is important to get that information to the person and hand it off, but make sure they have everything, right? And then allow them to do their job, for sure.
Yes.
But also, I mean, I think through this nail the handoff process, learning how to set up the processes, how to create checklists. I don't look at our company's situation any longer as a problem. And I've kind of talked with my crew about that. I'm like, this is not a problem that we're in, right? We're actually living in the solution because we've got real world scenarios that is going to create data points for what we need to do and what we need to improve. So I'm trying to steer them in the direction that this is positive. Oh, so that happened on the job site today. Well, good Lord, that's a problem. You know, instead of saying that's a problem, we go, what can we create so that doesn't happen again?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I have out on the chalkboard, how can I answer this, or how can this be the last time I answer?
Yes.
Right? And so I have my guys being on the job site right now with that frame of mind that, okay, that didn't go well. How come all those door hinges are incorrect, right? How did we get to that point? Okay, let's step back. Now let's create a document so we don't have to have that wrong order again. And that's what we're all doing right now. It's a lot of upfront work for us, but as we're wrapping up the 2 projects that we're currently in, I think it's going to make the projects coming up a lot smoother.
Yes. Oh, I love all of that. What did you say? You're living in the solution right now. Is that how you worded that?
Yes.
I love that. That's fantastic. What a way to reframe a situation that could be called a problem or a challenge or a frustration. And that kind of,
I think it's not a mindset, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is mindset. And I think that's probably one of the big takeaways that a lot of our clients get from SYCB is a big shift in mindset. And it sounds like you had some foundational pieces already in place, but the frustration and chaos were almost clouding things that you already knew, and that this helped pull you back to that foundation and to shifting in your mindset and just approaching things in a different way. And you had said something a little bit earlier too, talking about, you had talked about like the temptation of wanting to just go put out fires because they're constantly coming up, but learning that there is value in stepping back and slowing down to put things in place so you can go fast later. Going slow now, go fast later.
Yes. So I'm allowing my guys to handle those problems instead of me stepping in. And, you know, creating the CEO schedule, I had to learn to tell them, this is my time. I'm not going to answer the phone. I'm not to be interrupted, and I need you to handle it. I'm also asking the question, well, what do you think you should do? Right?
Yeah.
Kind of turning it around and seeing what their solutions are. And that's helped me step back, right? And instead of, I was kind of like the savior. Oh, so you're having a problem with that trade partner? Hold on a sec. Let me just call him and get him on board, right? And I was taking their power away, right? And I want them to be empowered and learn. But it's also important to have the right rhetoric if you're talking to people, right? And not call up. I have a really excitable supervisor who he likes to call people up and be like, where the hell are you? Right. And I'm trying to train them to take the emotion out of your voice and point out if there's something that's deficient. Excuse me, guys, I was doing the job log the other day and I noticed that the framing in the doorways is not plumb. What are you going to do to address it? Right. Instead of, hey, you animals, you messed that up. You need to fix this. Right? I think there's a way that we can communicate and keep things on a smoother level.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. Yes, you did. And I think what you just said too, that points back to your why. That points back to your vision in providing care at every single step along the way, which it sounds like you are doing and are continuing to do in building that as part of your company culture. It's being infused everywhere, which is really great. I love that. Tell me if there was, and you may have already answered this with talking about the vision, But was there something that you felt was the most impactful or beneficial part of the SYCB program for you?
I think the biggest part was the ending, because it kind of tied everything together, right?
Yeah.
I knew going into this as it was unfolding, because of my experience of building and managing crews and how important systems were, that I saw this, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that is important, to go back to the, slow is smooth is fast. As the program was unfolding, the next step was popping in my head.
Mm.
And I wanted to implement those things even before I had access to it, because I knew what was coming next.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, I remember in a video, Todd talking, or maybe it was you, saying that just complete the step you're on. Don't go to the next one yet. And you're going to have things popping in your head, but just bring it down. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could see quickly how this was going to organize everything. And I want to implement it quickly. Right?
Yeah.
Because I want to get it over with so I can be relaxed.
Go play golf.
Got it going on, right? But there is a process that does have to happen, so everybody can also be brought up at the same time. Because if you do rush it, you're going to get frustrated.
Yes.
You can't rush it.
Yes.
Because it will be, and you have to just kind of watch everything unfold. You can see the problems that are occurring, but we also can see the solution to help solve those problems. So how do we bring that in so everybody else can see that same vision? And that's why you have to do it slow. Because if you try to do it too fast, it's going to frustrate your entire crew.
Yes.
And the smoother it goes, the more receptive the crew is, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And what I loved about that is you own the vision, the owner of the company, the CEO, the vision is yours. But how you get to that vision, your team gets to help you with that if you allow them. And really, you need to allow them, because it'll be so much better. As you pointed out in so many ways, like letting your team be a part of creating all of this, even though you're like holding yourself back going, oh, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to wait. And I love that question that you asked, which is really an empowerment tool of like, well, what do you think we should do? Letting your team come up with some solutions. So you're not always the one who has all the answers. That's really the only way you're going to fully unhinge from your business and truly be a leader and an owner of your business instead of being in your business, is to empower your team. And that's a great question. I really appreciate that you asked that and that you shared that. I want to ask you one final question, and thank you for this discussion. This has been really great. How is life different for you now that you've gone through this program, where we've approached the end of it? I know you still have things you want to implement, but personally, how is life different for you?
Well, my stress levels decreased tenfold. Now I'm able to sit with my wife and have dinner and have conversation, and not a venting session. I have gained more time in my day, and actually taking weekends off now.
Good.
I am sneaking in some hours over the weekend to do some deep work stuff for myself and work on the business and not in the business. So, whereas before my weekends were taken up working in the business, and trusting more to delegate and allowing myself to have that trust, because I'm confident in the handing off of the information and making sure that the person that is delegating to has all the information they need to do their job effectively. So that's helped me provide more time, right? Because now I don't have to constantly look over their shoulder.
Yes.
So trust has been a huge, huge development throughout this process. Yeah, overall, just my overall mood enabled me to handle the situations that we were experiencing with the employees from a different place. Yeah. Right. Instead of going to the job site and being like, look, if you guys don't start showing up on time, you're not going to have a freaking job at the end of the week. Right. I mean, so there's like a completely different person operating when he goes to the job. And I really want to be the guy that comes to the job site and everybody's excited to have a conversation. They're glad to see you. Like it brings a smile to their face, right? And I used to have this nickname years ago, Smiling Mike, right? And that guy had kind of gone
lost. Yeah.
And that's the guy that I want to come back out, right? And we're in a really unique opportunity out here in Utah where we have the ability to become great and make a pile of wealth in a short period of time. But I want to do that from a place of care.
Love it. So from 6 months ago, wanting to throw in the towel, close the business down and move back to now you're Smiling Mike again and you're happy. That's a pretty big shift.
Yes. And it's allowed me to work on other businesses that I am also interested in outside of construction.
Very cool.
Yes.
Sounds like a success. Well,
Yes.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for sharing your story, especially the very heartfelt story that you shared. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, no problem.
Let me ask you another question. Which of these statements sounds familiar to you? I'm a visionary, but I'm stuck in day-to-day operations. I can't get out of my business. I can't sell it, can't retire. When I try to get away, I'm still working, taking phone calls and emails, or I know I'll have a disaster waiting for me when I get back. Work never ends. The business consumes more of my life than it should. What about this one? I feel like an overpaid fill in the blank. Estimator, project manager, superintendent, etc. I have plans for the next thing, the next business venture, but I'm stuck right where I'm at. The stress of the business is affecting me and or my family. Everything just falls on me. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like a visionary who's stuck in day-to-day operations? Are you working in your business when you would rather be working on it or even working on your next venture? Well, if that's you, there are 5 crucial systems. The 5-piece bridge to escape operations that are proven to help you if you want to get out of day-to-day firefighting and own a business that runs without you, so you can become the visionary CEO in your construction business and get on to the next venture. If you would like a customized blueprint of the 5-piece bridge that you can follow to systematize your construction business, if you'd like to learn how 300 plus construction business owners we've worked with have systematized their business, reduced their stress, all while working less and increasing profits. Well, if that sounds good, then the first step would be to apply for your free business evaluation call over at constructionleadingedge.com/apply, APPLY. Again, get your free customized blueprint of the 5-piece bridge to systematize your construction business by scheduling a free business evaluation over at constructionleadingedge.com/apply. So, a couple of notes. We only offer a limited number of these customized blueprints each month, and they're not for everybody. They're specifically for home builders, remodelers, and commercial general contractors who meet certain qualifications. So if that's you, go book your call today.